Hey there, I'm Peter Gould, co-creator and showrunner of Better Call Saul. This is episode 610, and the title is Nippy.
And I am Alison Tatlock, writer-producer on Better Call Saul and writer of this episode.
And I'm Denise Pizzini, production designer for season 6 of Better Call Saul.
And I'm Joey Liew, co-editor of this episode.
And that is Carol Burnett.
Woohoo!
I can't believe Carol Burnett is on our show. And wait a minute, this is... What happened? Is there something wrong with the TV? No, it's in black and white. It's in black and white. And if you don't like black and white, you're not going to like the rest of this series because there's a lot of black and white coming your way. I will say I love it, and I think it's just such a great look for the show, and it's really different. And Carol Burnett, we're going to talk more about her, but we also have to mention Schnauz Farms, maker of fine dairy products.
I was in Wisconsin recently, and I was told I might not be very popular there right now because she spits out the cheese.
Keep it. It's one of your great lines, great piece of Tatlock dialogue. There's so much in this episode. Alison just did such a fantastic job on this. And this is... So, Denise, is this... We went to Omaha in the winter.
We did not. This is Albuquerque with a lot of hiding. In New Mexico, there's a lot of extra fences, greens, and then this amazing snow that we did, sprinkled all over the neighborhood.
There's a little bit of digital, this and that, but not as much as you'd think.
It was a lot physically. I want to mention one thing too. That grocery store was a gem of a location. I thought it was perfect. It was like naturally art directed, and I was really happy that we got to shoot there.
And we named it Hanson's in honor of our incredible props man.
Oh, right.
Mark Hanson,
That's
yes.
right.
This I love this scene so much because he's using his ability with old folks, or older folks, I should say. It's devilish. And Michelle MacLaren, the great Michelle MacLaren, directed this episode. And she is such a fine director and such an inventive director. And I love the way Michelle keeps his distance. He's not getting close to her and scaring her off. He's letting her do all the work and making her ask. And I just think it's tremendous. And then also, in addition to our changing the show up with the black and white, we also Dave Porter has changed the score somewhat. And this is a really, I don't know if you guys in the audience noticed, but it's a different score from what we've had before. There's a lot more, well, there's different instrumentation, and it's a lot of live instruments, and I think it's just great and fun.
I feel a little thrill every time I hear those first notes of the new second half of the season score kind of kick in, because it feels like, something special's happening.
He always makes me think of... It's like Peter and the Wolf.
That's
He's
what
a little wolfish.
I cannot believe you said
Yes.
that. I was going to say the same thing. The oboe.
Yes, maybe that's what it is.
How you doing, Marion? Great.
I'm not sure it's an oboe, but...
Are you okay? Oh, yeah.
And just so well cut, too, Joey.
This
episode.
This is an editing masterpiece, this episode.
Thank you. A lot of footage. That's what you get with Michelle, too.
And we're
lots of options.
And you know her so well because you were her,
Yes.
actually her assistant back on Breaking Bad.
I was, yes.
And how long did that go on for?
All of season 5, 5A and 5B.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Quite fun.
You were there for the real intense stuff.
Oh, yeah.
When Breaking Bad got really big and complicated.
And here comes Pat Healy as Jeff.
Yeah, and it's probably worth saying that this character was played by another wonderful actor when we last saw him at the beginning of season 5. And, we really like both performers. We love them, but unfortunately, the first actor was not available to us. He was working on another show, and so we got Pat. Pat was willing to step in, and I think Pat's great. I love Pat Healy. I think he does a wonderful job on the show, and he's tough, but he's got some vulnerability, and I don't know, I just find him very, very watchable.
I'm a big Pat Healy fan as well, and I love how this sequence, we talked about it feeling almost like a horror. It's, from his perspective, a little bit of a horror moment.
I was telling Diane and Joey, I should mention to you, how I love this transition so much. Because it's flawless, because we just walked through a location onto a set. And you can't, I love looking at that, because we built that little exterior of the kitchen, and then we built that whole kitchen. But to walk through the location onto the set like that without cutting, I just love it.
Such a good point, Denise, because I was there and I completely forgot.
Yeah, right. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is all a set, and we duplicated that little outer room.
It's like a sewing room, I think we used to call it.
The sewing room, right. But when I saw the episode, I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. I was really happy about that.
This set, and we spend a bit of time in here, is just a wonderful set. It has, I think everybody on the show had some memory of a kitchen that we had spent time in when we were growing up. Yeah. And there are all these little elements from different memories, but all together, it just feels like a place that's been lived in, and lives have been spent around that table, and it just feels so real, and it just fits Carol's character just perfectly. It tells you so much about her.
We printed the floor. I think you get a shot of the floor. We actually designed and printed the floor, and we did lots of because it was black and white. We did lots of color swatches, and then Marshall had given us a certain combination of filters that we could take pictures of, and we found, sometimes blues and grays and yellows all look exactly the same. So it was a little tricky, but I think it has the right amount of contrast that we were looking for. So
it's the Sammy Hagar. By the way, we paid Mr. Hagar for that. We paid for that. The other thing, black and white is so interesting. I learned so much this season about black and white. Maybe it'll be useful in the future, maybe not. One of the things I learned was how important texture is. If you look at the costumes in these scenes, the textures are just so important, and it's because you don't have the color value. You're looking at shades of gray, and texture somehow pops out off of the screen. And that's true for the snow, too. One of the things that we found was that snow that was too flat just didn't read. After a while, it just looked like maybe, especially in day exteriors, it looked like maybe the sun on grass would look the same as snow. And so sometimes we had to add a little textured snow in post, or little piles of snow. But it's deep. There's a lot to learn. And of course, none of us have worked a lot. Denise, have you worked a lot in black and white?
No, not at all. And so, I like I said, I did a lot of color samples, and then we made sure that there were a lot of patterns and textures, especially when we get to like the department store, because it can just look flat.
We were all sitting in the garage back there, and it was pretty chilly, actually. And I have to say one more thing about the scene in the kitchen, because I think that's probably one of my favorite scenes of television that I've ever worked on. The chemistry between Bob and Carol was amazing, and it was just so gratifying to watch it come to life.
Carol Burnett is a remarkable person. She is actually on one of these commentaries, and so you'll hear from her in her own words. But I'll say, now talking behind her back, I'll say she just radiates generosity and openness and intelligence, and she's just wonderful. And my perception is, and Denise can tell me if I'm wrong because she was on the ground there, this was a very long season. The COVID of it, Bob's health issue, the ambition of these episodes all made it super tough to get through. And, you know, by the time we got to episode 9 and 10, everyone was still doing great work, but people were getting tired. And you know, there were questions about, you know, morale. And I felt that Carol showing up raised everybody's spirits. Yes. I know certainly in the cast, and Bob just sparkled when he was around her. There's just a give and take. And so my advice to other showrunners, if you have a long season and it's getting tough, get Carol Burnett in for a few episodes.
Yes, I agree. I think it really did boost everybody. It was a long season.
When she was there, we all felt happy to be there.
Yeah.
I could feel it.
Now, what do you think he's doing? Why is he doing this, what he's doing?
He knows that he needs a little extra shot of confidence, and he's looking for a totem to help give him the grit that he needs to get through what it is he wants to do. We don't know what that is yet, but we know he needs the spirit of Marco to feed him.
I think that's great. He's got, I mean, he goes into the apartment and he's Gene. Now maybe there's a little bit of Saul there. Mm-hmm.
It was very cool to watch Bob as an actor in his Gene regalia, his Gene costume, start to truly channel Saul Goodman, and to see that shift in him physically and on his face.
Bob is interesting because he would deny being a method actor. And he when he talks about acting, he always makes it sound very straightforward. And he's got a lot of humility, but he really does live the character. I remember watching him before we shot the first Cinnabon scene here at Cinnabon, and he was literally in the Cinnabon learning how to make a Cinnabon, how to make a shake. I drank one of his shakes. It was very good. And I thought, this was in prep for the very first episode, the pilot. I thought, oh, Bob seems to be kind of down. He seems really in his own head. I hope everything's okay. And then I realized he was being Gene. He was playing the role, and so I think he goes deeper than maybe he admits sometimes when he's talking about it.
Now, in writing this sequence, I went back and scrutinized an earlier Tom Schnauz joint so that I would understand the geography and try to match it.
Joey, when you and Chris are cutting together, how do you split the episode up? How do you figure out who's going to cut what?
We just talk about acts, and figure out who wants what.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever disagree or no?
No.
One.
No. I mean, he did a lot of the heavy lifting with the montage and everything. That's a McCaleb special right there.
It's all super. It's so well edited. I mean, to me, and I don't know if people will agree, I think for filmmakers who watch this episode, this is one giant flex because of the style of it and the intricacy of it and how the way it's executed from every department and all the performances. It's a giant flex. And I just love it. I love every minute of it. And you and Chris is just really, it's just astounding, the work. And of course, I love the fact that we've got Nick back, Nathaniel, who was, boy, what season was that? That was season 3 that he was introduced. And he's great. And now here, the amazing Jim O'Hare.
Gene Takovic.
And Denise's amazing set.
Another really great transition from a location to a set.
Look at all those monitors.
Yeah, this kept getting bigger and bigger, and the monitors kept getting bigger and bigger, but I'm glad they did, because I love the graphic quality of it, and I think it looks great.
Now, a set like this, is it technically complicated to put together? Because you've got, I mean, it seems kind of intricate if you start looking at the detail of the ceiling and how all the monitors are, and those little lights to the right.
Well, we always try to find a way to get light in, and that would be in the mall. There are these little windows like that. Is a detail in the architecture of the mall. So that's why I put those there, and Paul and I discussed it's still an interior set, but they could have those details because you wouldn't really have windows in a security office, so they're up high, but they do have the mall does have that detail in the architecture of it.
And that allows Paul to put in.
Exactly.
He gets to do some backlighting.
Right.
When otherwise he'd be everything would have to come off the top light or the monitors.
Right. And the position of this table where they sit, that we actually built that table because we couldn't find one that really fits into the set properly, where you can have him with his back to the monitors, you can have Gene looking at the monitors, and it wasn't too wide, so Michelle was very specific about
The game.
how she wanted that table, so we ended up just building it.
I remember Michelle and I went back and forth, and Alison went back and forth a lot on exactly the positioning of the table and the monitors, and how many monitors he could see in his peripheral vision, and did he have to turn around all the way?
Exactly.
And Michelle, I trust Michelle and Alison implicitly, and but I think they came up with the best possible version.
Can't win when Martinez plays like that.
And it's just.
Martinez. What's up with him?
But no, so Alison, you must be a big sports fan, especially. You must know a lot about local Omaha sports.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
I already was a huge Huskers fan,
right?
Even though I'm from the East Coast,
right?
No, of course I knew nothing about the Huskers, but now I feel like I could maybe have my own show. That would just be the Huskers of this era. I could answer questions.
Husker Talk.
I like it.
Husker Talk with Tatlock.
Was the thumb breaker.
Oh.
Yes, that line is based on an actual Huskers incident. It was really fun to write this because I could easily put myself in the Gene position of not understanding the sports talk at all.
Well, thanks again.
Oh, it's the least I could do. Have a good one.
Now, did Jim have to eat all those Cinnabons?
We tried to minimize the Cinnabon eating as much as possible. Jim knew that some Cinnabon eating would be required when he signed on, and we made it as easy on him as we could, but he did have to eat quite a bit. We tried to take care of him, and we had some tricks up our sleeves, including, if I can say, a spit bucket like you might have at a wine tasting.
Or in a TV commercial.
Exactly.
This show has done a lot of montages. This is one. I don't know if it's my favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite of your children. This might be. this might be my favorite for a bunch of reasons. One is that between them, Joey, Chris, and Michelle, for me, managed to make eating a Cinnabon and taking the garbage out really exciting. The other thing is this track, music. In pre-production, Michelle asked me, do you have anything in mind? And off the top of my head, I named something, an album that I'd had from the time I was a kid, which was a Mission Impossible, the soundtrack of the original Mission Impossible TV show, written by Lalo Schifrin. And actually, Lalo Salamanca is named after Lalo Schifrin. But I just said, hey, we could use this as a work track. And Michelle played this music apparently on the set. Isn't that right?
Oh, yes. I heard this in my sleep for about a week.
She played it on the set over and over again, and Chris and Joey cut the scene to the music. And my thought was always, we'll find something else. Because what are the odds? First of all, what are the odds that this is the perfect piece of music, and what are the odds that we could get it? And we did decide it was the perfect piece of music. And then Thomas Golbovic, our brilliant music supervisor, had to find a way to actually license it. And it was no mean trick to license a piece of music from, I think it's like 1966 or 1968. You know, the company that owned the rights had dusty file folders, and people had to be persuaded to go into vaults. And I'm so glad they did, because I just love it. Joey, could you talk about, now you and Chris cut the whole episode. You said this was a McCaleb special.
This is a McCaleb special for sure.
How do you even start on something like this?
Well, the split screen stuff, I believe, I believe Chris had that in mind. It's kind of a motif of the show. But there was so much footage and so many rolling takes with the time constraints, and
well, that's why the music is so
Yes,
perfect too,
so
because
fun.
of the split screen, which is just kind of takes you back to another, like
Right.
in the '60s. I think it's great.
And just matching the rhythm of the music with these cuts is really satisfying.
Yeah, how could we switch to another piece of music? You also notice, if you take a close look at those monitors, they have numbers on them, and they all starts JL, which stands for Joey Liew.
thank you for that.
Somebody asked me the other day, are the Cinnabons that Gene brings bigger than the usual Cinnabon? I was like, wow, you are a very careful viewer, my friend, because Bob did have an idea that he would add extra frosting and have an extra delicious gooey bun.
Really?
Yes.
So he made them specially good buns.
Yes, exactly.
I think, but Jim O'Hare, I just have to say, he's such a warm character, and he's written so beautifully. He's such a warm character that I want Gene to just become friends with this guy. I think he should have abandoned. Well, I guess he couldn't. He's gonna go to jail. Now, Denise, how is it that we found this department store that let us shoot?
I begged for weeks ahead of time. I said, Christian, please do not find me an empty space, please. And he tried and tried, and finally he found an empty Sears. They'd completely moved out, and said, what do you think about this? So we kind of put our heads together, and I said, yeah, we can make this work. But it was a lot of work, because first of all, we're in black and white, and we just can't have a completely blank store. So we went in and added all the floors, and then black and white, you have to have texture and shape, and so and then Michelle Marsh, our set decorator, hired a few people in LA to shop and bring down store fixtures. We actually brought carpet down from LA, because I knew, we could get patterned carpet, and I knew I had to make different areas, because, then it was like, well, we had to design it to the script, to the poem.
I will. Can I just say first, just before I want to hear the rest of that, but to say our idea was we would shoot in a real department store,
right,
and no department store would let us shoot. Yes,
no.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
So that's all
fine.
a fabrication.
All fabrication.
15 feet, right here.
We did it, and it was in our actual mall, and people started to come in and want to shop there. And afterwards, I told Ashley, I said, we should just keep open for a few days and see what we sell.
Lancasters.
But Lancasters. And it was, I have to say, very satisfying. Almost killed the art department. We had every printer working in like Santa Fe and Albuquerque printing graphics and things, because the space was so huge and there was no way we could do the whole space. So we did a lot of clever hiding and
Really?
Yes.
Like are there things there that are 2-dimensional that should be 3-dimensional, or?
Well, there's we created aisles with something at the end of an aisle, so you feel like you're going, and we created a second story on the first floor, so we wouldn't have to really go upstairs with the whole crew.
Oh, wow.
And it was, and then lots of hanging graphics to kind of block your view so you don't go too deep. But it was a big undertaking, and I had an incredible team that did it. We were all on the floor at one point in the back of the store cutting graphics. And,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then now we're talking over this other great scene.
Right.
This is shot, I'm assuming, in a real snowy field.
No. Once again, no. This was, our construction department actually put this together with the floor plans of the store, and they laid it out accurately. And we may have adjusted a tiny bit, if I recall. They made it out accurate, and then it was maybe too big.
It was quite a warm and sunny day
Yes.
in Albuquerque on this day, and we were worrying about the actors being hot in all of their winter gear, but they did great.
There's mostly, it's probably, Joey, what do you think? It's probably, I'd say 75% snow that was on the day. And then there's a lot of visual effects here, extending the amount of snow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's and also taking things out, like there were radio towers in the distance too, that were taken out in post by our brilliant visual effects team of both Rodeo and also
Keep Me Posted.
Keep Me Posted.
Yeah.
Both at work, hard at work here, doing different things. And here's the reintroduction of Buddy, but the introduction of Buddy's dog, Zeke, who turns out to be, significant as we go on.
Mm-hmm. A heavy dog, second half of the season.
Yeah, and Zeke is we blew the budget and had got a trained dog from Los Angeles,
a professional,
a pro dog, and because you could not do these sequences without a beautifully trained animal, and he really was great. And I love these rhymes that you wrote, Alison.
It was very fun writing the rhyme. I enjoyed it. I was challenged by the 13, 14, 15, 16. I was like to really dig deep to rhyme with all those different eens. But I liked it.
It's just great. It's really fun. This is Kelsey Scott, who's a friend of mine.
She's terrific.
We were able to. She, even though she's a friend, she certainly auditioned, and she did wonderful work here, I think. If I owned a department store, I would want her to run it.
Yes.
When we were in prep and we knew we were going to do black and white for this part of the season, I thought maybe it would be good to look at some visual references. So, being an old teacher, I decided to do a slideshow. So we did a little slideshow. I picked a bunch of pictures from a bunch of movies. Bunch of black and white movies, both old and new, but especially older movies. And a lot of them were from The Sweet Smell of Success and Rumblefish. And it was just all to think about, what are we looking for? What are the kinds of looks that we could do? And I don't know if anybody took anything specific from it, but I think it helped. I think it helped focus us all thinking about, well, this is going to look a little different. We did that at the beginning of Better Call Saul. We did a little slideshow. I collected some slides, and then Vince and I went through them, especially with our camera team. But this one was more widely distributed because we got to. Fortunately, I had a couple of directors who could watch, and Denise and
no, it was
DPs.
great because it's good for us to actually know like what you want, what's in your head, what you expect.
Yeah.
And we did learn a lot, and it's good to have everybody kind of on the same page with like, this is the look we're going for, and This is the what we want to achieve. This kind of look. So
it helped us all get so fired up about working in black and white. Just the artistry of it became very exciting.
It's a really special medium, and I think we might have named. I think we named the store Lancasters after Burt Lancaster, who of course was the star of Sweet Smell of Success.
Ricky?
And this phone scam is so funny, Alison. These two actors, the actors, they're playing it so well.
Yeah,
and she's very intelligent.
Yeah,
she's she's no pushover.
900 pounds of Spanish mackerel.
Sorry, but that's not my problem.
Again, I just don't know another actor who could do what Bob is doing here.
It's gonna stink. Pun intended.
Gene, everything okay?
And this is fun how he gets a little bit busted by one of his Cinnabon colleagues, but then uses it to his advantage, which is kind of his superpower.
You still there?
Interestingly enough, this particular Cinnabon closed. Isn't that right? This actually closed before we shot season 5, and we've been preserving the space. Thank you, Sony. Sony allowed us to preserve the space, but it was incomplete, I believe. And so we had to finish it off. Is that right, Denise?
We had to a little bit. It was preserved, but we put the murals up. So we kept all that stuff. But there was a refrigerator with some milk in it that was overlooked until we came back this season.
Wow. If you had walked through the mall and we weren't working, you would have seen the whole storefront was boarded up. It was all plywood covering it.
Right, but it was everything was there. We had to get the equipment back and things like that, but it was in pretty good shape.
You're a lifesaver. What's your name again?
Kathy.
Kathy? Yeah, my guy will be...
And then we had to go through the mall just in case covering any New Mexico reference.
It's tricky. That combined with the period aspect.
Yeah, there was a lot of trickiness in this episode.
Especially because most of the stores had mask policy.
Right.
Stickers and posters in the windows. All of that had to go, of course.
And that little Showtime gesture, I believe, was something that Bob and Michelle, you and Bob and Michelle came up with on the set.
That was not in the script.
Love that callback.
It's just wonderful.
There's the new milk.
That's oh boy, yeah. And probably if you looked super carefully and compared it to other seasons, you'd see some of the stores have changed, but I think it works great.
Bob walked down the halls of the mall. He got his exercise during this one.
Oh, yeah. And as Joey says, Michelle, I don't know how, I literally don't know how she does it. She shoots so much more footage and so many more angles than any director I know. And so it's always a matter of sometimes picking just the thing you like best, and it's an embarrassment of riches.
It's a lot of 3 camera setups.
It's just amazing. This is what way she in this one shot, these guys are all handing off to each other. Just wonderful. Now, how many, Joey, when we're looking at this, are these monitors all live, or are the images put in later, or what are we looking at?
Well, I believe that it was a lot of the rehearsals were filmed, or where Pat had to go run and do the scan and everything. But these had to be put in. Some of them had to be put in after the fact, but a lot of these angles were chosen for the day.
So this means that that there was a playback operator working off camera with I don't know how many different machines and devices to drive all those monitors. And if you maybe at some point I'll post on Twitter what the back of that set looked like, because it was just it was a spaghetti of all wires coming every which way. Oh, Pat is so funny. This is great. I remember I got particularly excited about the idea of this box being very cleverly built, and you guys just made something that's so much fun.
And you wanted it to be flat so that it wouldn't look like there was a person in it.
Yes.
He had to wiggle out.
You didn't want it to look like a refrigerator box where you could picture somebody standing inside it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I'm just still marveling at this set, Denise. There are things there are illusions in this set. I mean, if we looked deep into the background, there are things that look like they go on further that don't.
Yes. Well, like, let me see if you can see anything. Like, you can't really tell, but yes, we put up, like I said, different panels. Use lots of large graphics. Like, let's see, that's the shoe store. And again, trying to add as much pattern and texture as we could so it wouldn't just fade away.
It's fantastic. It's really terrific. And of course, watching that previous scene it's all operated by Matt Cradle, our A-camera operator, and he's using various rigs to lead Pat and to follow him. And I remember talking to Matt, and he said he felt he had run back and forth through the mall like 7 or 8 times within an hour.
Yeah, he was
really, and Matt's he's a big guy. He's very tall, and he's so for him to get the camera down low, it takes some doing, or for him to shoot in very small spaces. But this is a big space.
Yeah, it was a really big space.
He did a wonderful job. I mean, these shots are so dynamic.
Oh, come on. Osborne had the great Tommy Frazier.
Frazier,
Say
yes.
it with me.
12 luxury pumps to one shelf.
How about that 44-21 win against the Buffs?
Be still my heart.
76-yard pass.
This is Cinnabon number 85.
We would never make him 85 Cinnabons. Not more than 80.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I can remember every stitch of clothing.
There was a week in the production office, too. There were an enormous amount of Cinnabons.
Yeah.
We all had them. They were in every refrigerator. This was, we didn't actually go upstairs except for this one part. We just dressed something at the top of the stairs, and then this is actually downstairs behind the set, behind part of the set. And again, we just tried to use a lot of panels and a lot of things that could block. That's all we did upstairs, is just that.
Red against that green. It's like Christmas out there.
This is one of the greatest Texas swaps I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So that's Pat Healy. That's Stuntman.
Ooh. Ouch.
And they switched place behind that set dressing. Bob is so great here.
So, you think our guys are going to move to the Big Ten like they're saying? A mighty dollar, if you ask me. I mean, both powerhouses, of course.
This just, every time I watch this, I'm squirming because how long this guy is lying there.
Michigan, Ohio State,
and then the way Michelle shoots this so that the fork full of Cinnabon is going in front of the monitors, and the shifting of focus, it's really intricate.
So good.
It's beautifully done.
Centered. Just amazing.
Beautifully edited, Joey.
Yeah.
Wow.
What am I doing? What?
Classic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Jesus.
King.
It's a trick and it's truth all at once.
Yes. It's like a truth sandwich. There's a slice of truth in the middle, and the bread is a bunch of insincerity.
Yes.
But look at Jim O'Hare. He's
concerned.
He's so open.
Yeah. No, but you're right. Between Marion and Frank, Gene could have had a different life in Omaha. Just decided to make friends with people.
Yeah, I mean, even after this is over, he could have just been pals with Frank and just I mean, it's not giving anything away. People presumably seen the next episodes. He doesn't do that. I guess if he just settled down and had a nice life in Omaha, that wouldn't be the world's greatest ending for a TV show.
I guess not.
I don't know. The guy still has stuff to work out, obviously. At least that's how I see it.
Well, he is who he is.
Yeah.
Lots of people.
Right tonight, my landlord would pack up my
Look at that focus pull. As you pulling focus to the monitors as Frank turns around and stays soft. It's really sophisticated piece of work.
Poof! I'd be gone. I'd be.
Yeah, this is, and I just also love the way she staged it so you get Jeff running in opposite directions on different monitors, and this is remarkable because Michelle now goes over the stage line. So we're dialing over now. Suddenly, Gene's looking over Frank's other shoulder, and it's so beautifully done and so beautifully cut. This. Now he goes back the other way.
When Bob started making this little sound, this little groan he's doing, we were kind of losing our minds on set.
Yes.
Delight and amazement.
It's just. I mean, I'm really struck by this. I think this is just terrific.
That is okay. Everybody has bad days.
You felt like
I love the cutting back and forth between the handheld, very aggressive stuff going on in the actual store, and then cutting back to this more controlled environment. It's just really wonderful. Yeah. And it's amazing that it's all played with no music. We had all that music earlier, and this is all live effects, or apparently so.
No problem.
Till now. Of course, the imagery on those monitors had to be shot.
We put cameras up in the store.
16 cameras.
Yeah.
16 cameras up in the store, hidden there, and then Pat went through and did all his actions. And then there were also shots from elsewhere in the mall. Quite a few of them.
Sort of several movies.
Yes.
Movies within movies.
But things like this that we could actually use, the rolling gate, and we didn't have to make the rolling gate.
Thank God.
Yeah.
But I think you did plenty.
Yeah, I was happy for the gate. But this is, the actual entrance from the mall, which was all boarded up when we got there. So that's why I said we should just keep it open for a little bit.
That's where all the people were walking in trying to buy stuff from Lancaster.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's funny to me. And
now he snuggles the blanket.
This is our home goods department.
Pat made a choice with his character that he was going to be very tactile. He's always feeling stuff. Makes me feel like he's lonely.
Yeah.
The guy's lonely.
He felt that it was a kind of arrested development.
Yes. There's something childlike about it.
Yes.
Well, Barbara's right here if you need anything.
Excuse me, ma'am. Truck's here to pick up that big box.
Great.
And then she's going to get flowers. So, I mean, really, this is all working out pretty nicely.
It's a romance. No. I like this music shift as well. It's wonderful.
Everything is, I think, working here in this beautiful.
And here he goes, trying to walk normally.
Walking normally. I think Pat told me that Michelle told him to walk as if he had a load in his pants. That's how I remember him saying it. So it works.
Yes.
Ooh la la! Oh, check this out. Buongiorno, ladies.
How much did we get for him?
I don't know, maybe 500 each. Shit, man. Maybe I just keep them for myself.
This is the real garage, isn't it?
Yes, this
the
was
real
an actual garage.
location.
Very small, required a small vehicle.
That's right. Yes, we needed a car in there. I think there was originally dialogue about the car. The car had a name.
Yeah.
And it was established that Jeff was fixing it up, and it was just one of those things. It all worked, and it was great. It's just one of those things that falls away to get the rhythm of the episode.
The car was named Donna. We can now have that for the record.
That's right.
Yeah. It's called mutually assured destruction. So, if I go down, you go down.
Man, you don't have to threaten us. We're all friends here.
I am not your friend. And if you get greedy and you decide to come back for more...
This is another particularly good scene here.
We're very fortunate to have an amazing
You see me coming?
Lawyer
To the other side of the street.
on our writing staff.
That's right.
Joanna Zhang, who helped me with the legal.
in theory is my assistant, but is actually also our legal consultant.
Amazing writer and also
she arranged lawyer. And she also helped arrange the scheduling of these commentary tracks. So there you go. She's great. She's gonna go far. She's gonna have a big career.
We're done.
You know, he's starting to act like some kind of mob boss here. Jimmy is.
This double-door garage situation. I remember you really were picturing it so perfectly in your head, and I was struggling a little bit, and then here it was. They found it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that's the house. I mean it was I think it was quite a deal to find Marion's house and figure out what if we needed a street that could potentially be Nebraska.
Right. Right. No, this was a great. We looked at quite a few, but this one worked out the best. It had the perfect layout, garage. It had, a mudroom at the front. It was just, and it wasn't too New Mexico in the neighborhood. We did cover a lot of stuff across the street, but
it was an innovation in the moment, I think, that Marion would use her pincher claw to open
the door.
Though. Yeah.
Yeah, I was always worried about that, how she was going to open that door.
Yes.
And of course, Carol is actually in better shape than her character. Carol doesn't need any kind of aid to walk or move around. She's putting that on for the role.
Where's my brain? I keep forgetting to ask.
More great textures and patterns, courtesy of Jennifer and the brilliant costume department.
I can't believe this, but he was with a family.
I'll tell you, I saw recently some pictures of this set in color, and it just shocked me. It just shocked me to see what it looked like in color. I'm so used to seeing it in black and white.
Yeah.
It's just great.
The connection between those two characters is so genuine and human and sweet.
Here you go, ma'am.
Thanks.
There's Sherry,
and her
daughter.
Lovely daughter, Dominique.
Sherry, our makeup artist, right there. Dominique, who's interested in acting.
Mm-hmm. She was very relaxed and professional.
Thanks.
I've never seen Gene in a good mood before.
Yeah, he was so happy working, he forgot to take his lunch break.
I think originally in the very first draft of this script, and tell me if I'm right, there was another montage here.
Oh yeah,
where it was a montage of him working and being he was in a good mood working.
Right.
Gene in a good mood.
Yes.
And
here's a little inside baseball. I remember it was suggested to me by someone, maybe it was you, not to use the word montage in the script.
That's right.
So as not to alarm people.
That's always the most feared word in the
series of brief
montage.
A series of quick cuts set to music.
And somebody said to me, "Who do you think you're fooling?"
I know who said that to you. It's but sometimes montage sounds bigger. But I think even one more mini montage at this point would have snapped our people in two. So and I think it worked great the way you played it. It's wonderful.
Is it someone from our world, or is this just apocryphal that someone said montage is French for over budget?
That's overtime. That's
Overtime.
Stu Lyons, who was the line producer on Breaking Bad, and that was his, and he certainly wasn't wrong.
And Denise, I'll never forget when I showed up in the department store on set for the first time, I was greeted with the words, "This is all your fault."
Denise didn't say that, though.
Well, maybe.
I know. I was like, I'm just saying, nobody say anything. I don't want to hear any negative stuff because I will lose it.
What a great touch to have Kelsey walk through that last shot.
And there it is.
There it is. Our first black and white episode, first Gene episode. Joey, what was your favorite scene to cut in this episode? Do you remember?
I would say the kitchen scene, the first kitchen scene when Jeff walks in.
That was Alison's favorite too.
It really is.
It's pretty great. And Michelle had Pat play different ways. So there were a lot of options there, but it was such a good experience.
Well, you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And that's a favorite. I wish the scene was twice as long.
Me too. I think it was at some point.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was great.